Hi, this is the Kubeflow community meeting for September 24th, 2024. And this meeting is governed by the CNCF Code of Conduct. It is being recorded, and we're here to discuss the variety of Kubeflow issues that come up in the community. And we usually start off with an update from the release team. Is Rui here today? Or excuse me, I keep saying Rui. Is Ricardo here today? Maybe not. We had a lot of people on the release team call yesterday. Andre, I think there might have been like 8 or 9 people at least, right?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of newcomers, right?
A lot of folks that are very much interested. There was a lot of effort to talk about putting the release team together, getting a release manager, getting a product manager. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. Should we provide an update on what's going on here? I think we'll start with 1.9.1. That looked to be coming along. I guess there are more fixes being under considered before we get to 1.9.1 final. But has anybody been able to test the 1.9.1 RC1? Interesting. Okay. I think that we've probably had some testing from some of the groups, but it'd be interesting to see if any of the end users have some of these items that have been brought up or are testing. Also being able to get the input on the fixes that are going into 1.9.1 final. Andre, I'm not sure that I remember the exact timeline, but that seemed to be coming together pretty well for the next few weeks or so, as I remembered. Maybe that runs into obviously October, but we're not too far off there. Is that what you remember is?
So if I remember correctly, I don't know, Ricardo is not on the call, but in October, they want to release 1.9.1, right?
Yeah.
Are we waiting for some specific manifest to be synced like notebooks?
Yeah, I think there were some minor or some items that were needed to be cleaned up, and I don't have that list in front of me. It may be on that that URL there. But since nobody's really raising their hand and saying this is a hot issue for them right now, if they do, they know where to get more information. Go to the release team meeting. I think is probably the place where we dive in that the deepest. And then 1.10, we're making good progress. I believe what I had heard yesterday, we had picked a product manager. Is that correct, Andre? Is that what you heard yesterday?
Yeah, you mean like the Ricardo, right? Ricardo will be the release manager, right?
Well, the product manager I thought was
Oh.
Milos, I think it was. Is that right?
No, it's me, the product manager, right?
Oh, Dimitri.
Demetrius.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Dimitri. I'm sorry. I apologize. So,
Yeah.
Demetrius, you have a long history here in Kubeflow, and you're going to work as the product manager, correct? With some help from Stefano.
Correct, that's right.
Well, that's great. That's great. Is there any? I'm gonna put you on the spot here, okay, buddy? Thanks for joining in. As the product manager, your kind of vision means a lot to the community. I know that you've been kind of organizing, getting closer to this. Is there anything, initial thoughts that you'd like to give the community? A minute or a few sentences of what you're thinking, 1.10 should entail?
Really not. I mean, I haven't get down to the thing yet, and I haven't talked with Stefano yet because he's on PTO. So yeah, I don't have anything to share at the moment.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, there's some major things coming with, Notebooks 2.0. There's some efforts there around us improving our efforts to graduate as a CNCF project, and there's probably some security and other types of things that we need to focus in on. But I'm sure as you start to put that, one of your first kind of deliveries will be kind of organizing that roadmap. And I saw Ricardo had raised his hand. Maybe he's back in, but that's just one thing you may want to consider as you start to go forward, is you start to be that strategic vision, explaining the value of these features. Because sometimes there's, what's defined is very technical versus what, how do you articulate the benefit to an end user. That is, something product managers do a good job at, and we're looking forward to seeing what you have there and how we can help you with it.
Yeah, I understand. I'm gonna need some time to get my things around, to get my head around this. Talk with Ricardo, talk with Stefano, get myself familiar with the things that are coming up, and yeah, that's all. I don't have something else right now.
All right, no problem. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, but kind of did, because it
It's okay. Yeah.
kind of helps to get you introduced to the community, and hopefully you'll have, anyway, Ricardo, you raised your hand.
Hey Josh, sorry I was late with another thing here, but thank you for introducing Dmitry. Just to let you all aware, he accepted to become the product manager for the 110 release team. Not sure if you already passed through the release updates. Just some quick highlights I would like to consider here. 191, we're still waiting for some more fixes before considering cut the 191 final release. 110, we are almost there to finish farming the 110 release team with the new addition to the team, the new product manager, Dmitry. Still working on filling out the remaining roles. I believe I'll have some updates by the end of the week. Let's just hope it will be good news. So while we are still farming the 110 release team, I'd like to highlight the proposed schedule we finished yesterday during the release team meeting. We are officially considering to start the release cycle, and we consider the week 0 on October 7th, and then we'll end up on a 25-week release without considering the holiday, the end of the year holiday weeks. So it's about 2 to 3 weeks, I would guess. So with that, we have November 18th as a release team checkpoint, where we are considering to see more than 50% of the work done. Week 14, which is January 27th, to have the first RC0. Before that, there's January 13th, the feature freeze. And at last, we are considering to have April 7th as the official date for the Kubeflow 110 release. Again, not set in stone yet. We're still working with getting ACK with the rest of the working group leads to see if that's a reasonable schedule or not for Kubeflow 110, but we're still working on it. We made some small tweaks to the schedule because since we are already working on the roadmaps, we decided to finish the roadmap topics a week after we formed the release team and officially start the release cycle. So that's our plan for now. That means in about 2 weeks, we'll start officially the release cycle for 110 with the full release team formed and having maybe another release manager, or maybe I'll need to step in for 110 to get the release manager while we train others for the next releases to become the release manager in future releases. That's it for now. I'll open the floor for any questions or comments.
So I think there was a kind of a comment yesterday in the release team meeting about distribution, review of this calendar, and input from them. It'd be nice, since you have the issue open, that they could comment there. I'm just a little cautious still about this, Ricardo. The length from the feature freeze to the actual release, it's probably realistic, and it's probably what we've done in the past. But it seems like a fairly long time from the middle of January to the beginning of April. And
So I just wanted one thing, like I think Julius, so he's out of office right now, but if I remember correctly, Julius told us they set up all the infrastructure in the manifest for basically testing, the initial testing on the client cluster. So I don't think we should spend a lot of time for like manifest sync and manifest testing. We can maybe do it in one day and spend the whole maybe a week for distribution testing, right? Which means that will cut our final release date, right?
Yeah, one other thing we are considering is that maybe 2 weeks is too long between feature freeze and releasing RC0. Maybe a week could be enough for it, so we can put all of those dates a week before, and then we can have 110 by in March to be released. But yeah, again, we're still under considerations on the other people involved in the release, which means the working group leads. And as I said, Josh, thank you for mentioning that. We also would like to hear from the distribution owners how the schedule is realistic with regarding their distribution testing. And yeah, it's open for anyone to raise any concerns or propose changes to the schedule. I think for now, one thing that we should consider is maybe bring the RC0 release a week before, so week 13, because I believe a week after the feature freeze to release RC0 is more than enough for us to sync out the manifest for RC0. And also, well, this is my few experience with like the Kubeflow release beginning 1.9. We did not sync all of the manifests in RC0. We had what we have in like a week. So maybe we can have RC0, then RC1 to have all of the manifest sync, propose an RC2 for all the bug fixes, and finally Kubeflow 110 final. Anyways, it's open for any comments, concerns, questions. You can raise those concerns directly to me on Slack, and I'll bring those concerns to the next release team meeting so we can finally finish the proposed schedule for Kubeflow 110.
I think that makes a lot of sense. For the distributions, often the flavor of, or the version of Kubernetes tends to be something that draws people's attention. I'm not up, I'd have to say, on what is expected in Kubernetes version in this time frame. are we, and especially because of our effort to graduate as a CNCF project, one of the things they may study about us is our ability to keep current with Istio, Knative, and especially Kubernetes. Any view from you or Dimitri, either now or next week or sometime soon, of what Kubernetes version we think is going to be the primary?
Yeah, we haven't checked the roadmap for Kubernetes yet. It was the next topic we're gonna bring to the next release team meeting. We need to create this dependency matrix for 110. So I'm sorry, I don't have the answer for now,
Yeah,
but I'll make sure to have this answer at least for next week to have them addressed.
Yeah. No, I just thought maybe somebody who's tracking that might know it off the top. Okay. Fantastic job on this, Ricardo. You have gone up and beyond the Call of Duty for helping the release teams, and thank you very much for shepherding this along the way, and getting 110 on the right path. Thank you.
Sure, no worries. Anything that from the community that sees any concerns or something that we should work better, just shoot me out a message. I'll be happy to help you on addressing those concerns.
Great. All right, let's move on if that's okay. Any going once on release update? Okay, twice. Okay, we're gonna move on. Istio ambient, favorite topic of mine, support for Kubeflow UIs.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. So, yeah, I guess I want to kick off this discussion. There are a couple tracking issues for this already, in the Kubeflow manifest repository, I believe, for starting the support for the Istio ambient mesh. And I was talking to Andre this morning about the work that is going to be needed for the UIs and perhaps the profile controller and so on. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to kick off the conversation, and if we want to integrate this in Kubeflow 1.10, then perhaps we'll need to include all of this work in the roadmaps, and consider if this is going to be a lot of effort from the working groups, the feature freeze may be affected. So it's about that. I know that Julius is not around for more details on what they are doing, but at least we can have some idea of this.
So I think
Yeah.
I know that Julius mostly was driving this effort, right? But I think if you can propose something, Daniel, like from your team, that what exactly is needed to be changed, that would be
Yeah.
nice. Maybe just creating the small enhancement proposal,
Yeah.
explaining what
So
you do, right?
right. So if it's okay for everyone, then I can create a tracking issue, perhaps in the Kubeflow manifest repository, to expose like what are the changes that are needed and somehow estimate the work that's needed as well. Does that work for everyone?
Yeah, we already have one issue, right? So do we
Yeah.
know? Mhm.
I will share it with you. It's this one.
26976, right?
Yes. Yeah. Though in that issue, they mention, they mention more other things that are not particular to the changes required for each of the web apps. So I can work either way. I can create an enhancement proposal for exactly the changes in the web apps, or I can comment something in that issue.
Yeah, I think two of this will work for us. So first of all, do we know like if that will be like unified change across all of the UIs? I know we need some change from the profile controller, right?
That's what I'm expecting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can use this issue and then maybe, transfer this to the enhancement proposal. Like, I just would like Julius and other manifests for Blades opinion on this.
Yeah. Do we know when he's coming back?
In 1 week, probably.
Okay. Okay, so I guess I can prepare everything for when Julius is back and then sync with him, so we can have a better understanding. But just so you know, then this is something that will come in the next release. Ramesh.
Yeah, Daniel, if you can, in model registry, we are also developing the UI. Not that further along yet, but yeah, we would like to know a little bit more about your proposal there. So if there is any links or proposal enhancements that you have, yeah, we would love to take a look at it and see how it affects us going forward.
Definitely. I think I will link it in the notes. There is a tracking issue for the whole proposal, and let me just add it in the notes here.
Thank you.
Seems like it's not working for me. I also share it in the chat.
All right.
I think the biggest, yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
I just, I'm a proponent of this, at least from what I have heard of ambient mesh. So hopefully helps separate layer 4s and 7 and makes perhaps a lighter weight installation, perhaps maybe makes our installation easier. I'd be very much interested on, what the potential benefits. This would be a good thing for product management too. It would be of implementing ambient mesh in the long term for either operations or installation.
Yeah, I think maybe the biggest change might be require what resource we need to orchestrate per namespace, right? And how do we serve the UI, right? Like, because right now I think we do this via the Istio gateway, right? In the central dashboard.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess we can figure that one out as we go. What is the call to action here?
Right. So if it's okay for everyone, what I can do is comment on that issue, on the first tracking issue, about what would be the required changes for the web apps. Then also comment on what are the required changes for the profile controller, like what's needed in the profile controller, and I guess also chat about the namespace, like what are the requirements now for each namespace? Do we need to label them? Do we need to do something else? So the proposal is a little bit or has a little bit more information. Does that and then after that I will sync with Julius to also understand what they are planning for the roadmap.
Awesome. This is a target feature for 1.10.
So can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yes, so our team would really much appreciate this feature and is ready to contribute to the project, like for the changes in the web apps, for instance. So yeah, it'd be much appreciated if it was considered for 1.10.
Okay. Anything else on ambient mesh? Will detailed conversations on this occur in the security working group meeting? Okay, so that is the meeting right before this one, every other week, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I can join them as well.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think there's best practices here for anybody that's doing any type of advanced Kubernetes implementation, and the fact that Kubeflow continues to bring these dependencies together and implement them, I think is really great. And boy, it'd be even better if we could get some end users to kind of provide their view and usage patterns of ambient mesh to kind of help us validate where we're going here, right? Okay, maybe we keep going. Is that okay, or is that enough, Daniela? You want anything? Okay.
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Outreach, community outreach. Now we have KubeCon coming up, but there's a lot of activity that was happening. I don't know if Amber is here or Andre or anybody wants to pick this up. We just have a placeholder here, but we do need to work on our outreach. It is getting that time of year. Does anybody have any comments on where we are with outreach and from an update and what volunteers might be able to help the community do?
Yeah, I mean, Josh, I can give you a quick update, but we don't have much, right? Like, we kind of trying to sync with different CNCF marketing folks to see if we can get any help from them. Also, like, establish our plans for 2025, like having several events, a few of them in person, one of them in KubeCon in London, I think, which will be maybe as a co-located event. But I think right now, if anyone here in the community wants to, help us with the outreach, let us know. We can invite you to our group and we can, tell you how we can help us. But eventually, I think after this thing with CNCF marketing team, we'll have more, idea what exactly needs to be done, right, Josh? Which probably will be this week. No, sorry, not this week, next week.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the piece that is important here is outreach is important to continue to bring more contributors in as well as end users. You also get a voice if you participate in the outreach into how Kubeflow should be, projected out, and we're really trying to use that CNCF megaphone to amplify our messages. So I know Amber has been kind of coming back into this, and we do need to get ramped back up. But any of the companies out there, especially distributions, that you have, either success stories or other types of things that might be valuable into our conversation with the CNCF, this would be a time to raise your hand and try to use that megaphone to get the message out. I think it looks good for the Kubeflow. Perhaps it looks good for the distribution and maybe the end user that could talk about their use case. So I do encourage folks to leverage this. This is part of the reason why we joined the CNCF is to get this outreach kind of ramped up a bit. And we do need some volunteers to kind of help with Amber and the rest of the team kind of move this forward. So I think that's about it. If you want to join in any of those meetings, let us know. We'll get you included. Primarily, go ahead, Ramesh.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand what kind of a participation we can do there from Red Hat perspective, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously we do have a distribution based on the Kubeflow loose distribution. So is it a communication in the CNCF, or is it obviously there are multiple folks submitted
Well, let's be
proposals.
honest, right?
Yeah.
The CNCF is going to want some big name customer or some cool use case that somebody is doing with Kubeflow that they can promote. That's probably going to get us the most traction with the CNCF outreach folks, them being able to promote what we do, whether it's recording an interview or doing a kind of a blog post or a case review, and then amplifying that out. You know, is it valuable to a distribution to be sitting right next to their end user saying, hey, we help them? Of course, right? I mean, it's a triad between the community, perhaps the distribution, or whoever helped the end user and the end user themselves. Often, you know, it's not supposed to be an advertisement, right? That none of the CNCF stuff likes that, but if you help them do the work and you add value, I have no problem with the distributions being there and kind of highlighting some of the things that they did to make the end users life better.
So I think in terms of the help, Ramesh, like I know that Amber, she tried to do some, you know, distribution interviews because to try to publish some official case study in CNCF website from the people who are actually using Kubeflow in production, right? So, you know, helping she's not here right now, but eventually, like, you know, helping us to, you know, like expose what we're doing and what people are doing with Kubeflow, what would be really helpful. I know we tried to, I don't know exactly which distributions Amber was interviewing, but we need more of this, and, you know, like we need people who can help with this work. Additionally, like as Josh said, we need, you know, like some social media support, like, you know, people who will constantly, you know, like publishing something on LinkedIn, on Twitter, to explaining what's happening within the project, right? For example, some new features, some, you know, new proposals, and explaining like basically show what's happening within the community, right? And I think like Amber needs more help from you know, from volunteers, from us to work on this, right? And on 2025, I think once we have the more conversation with Ciencia, we'll have more idea what we can do from the marketing standpoint, right?
Sounds good.
All right. You know, this will often go like, yeah, it's kumbaya until we put a time or a frame around it that says, hey, the train's going to leave if you don't get on, you know, you're not going to get these benefits. So hopefully in the next week or two after we meet with the CNCF, maybe throughout October, we're going to get some type of schedule put together, some places where people can plug in, and with definitive, we're just giving you a heads up. You may want to get your end users ready. You may want to get your internal teams ready to try to say, how can I, you know, take advantage of this marketing opportunity that's coming? Again, it's primarily to promote the value of Kubeflow though, right? So, okay, let's keep going. We'll do better on the outreach. Mateo is, what is this? We've got a challenge with this still with the Kubeflow YouTube channel.
Yeah, simply just very quickly, I just wanted to bump because that issue is still open, also in light of the CNCF graduation. And since I saw about the bullet point about outreach, I thought about adding this point. To my understanding, we are still missing to identify who has power of extending people who can upload videos as well to the main Kubeflow YouTube channel. So in there, I think that we pinged some of the folks who can help this moving forward. Simply, the only reason why I've tracked this one is that I don't want it to get lost across the small details.
Yeah, I mean, we have 1.9 YouTube posted, right?
Yes, so upload, we can ask our folks from Google that are participating in the Kubeflow pipelines to upload the videos from us. The thing is that in the longer term, I see that as being challenging because we have less autonomy than, say, the Kubeflow community channel, where we can decide to have temporary editors or long-time editors like I am, where I upload the model registry bi-weekly recordings, these kind of things. So I don't need to ask every time to somebody else to post a video.
Yeah, I'm very supportive of this. So this is we need to figure that one out. Let's bring this one back to the KSC again and see if we can get this unlog jammed.
Sounds good with me, thank you. Probably indeed the KSC is a better place. Right. So if you don't mind, I'll just move quickly to the next item of model registry. Sorry, I couldn't participate in the last bi-weekly, in the last community meeting. I just wanted to highlight two main aspects. First of all, is that we had a great demo and progress showcase from the UI people, the UI team that are working for the UI for model registry, but in general for the UI effort in the Kubeflow community. So in the bi-weekly recording, the first, I would say, half of the meeting is dedicated to that. You can see some the recording, the demo, and some breakdown about the general things. So there is one item. The other item is that you can stay there on the fossilizing scanning. So as part of the CNCF graduation, there is some request to have the different working groups to adopt some tooling for the automatic license scanning. So in the Kubeflow model registry, this was a proposal to adopt the tool, one of the tools that CNCF makes available. And I linked this GitHub issue because it actually is composed of two parts. One part is the proposal that we had for the Kubeflow model registry, so why is needed and how we're going to adopt it, now is in place. But also as well, the second part that you're showing right now, I've taken the time of documenting all the steps that any other working group within the Kubeflow can follow in order to adopt the same tool, if so they choose, because of course, again, the CNCF says you can adopt your own tool. Here are some tools that are available as part of the foundation. So in here, you can find all the steps. So if you are a Kubeflow liaison or a Kubeflow lead, working group lead, and you want to adopt it within your project, I just wanted to showcase here a documentation of the step that we went through, guided from some people from the steering committee and some developer relation from CNCF in order to make sure that we can onboard. So if you want, I think that I can as well do some little showcase because it should be possible to see. I'm not sure if I can share the screen. If you want, I can make a quick demo if you want.
Yeah.
Or
do you need to share something or do you...
Yeah, let me try because it's been a while that I haven't used
Go ahead.
that I haven't used a Zoom, so I hope it doesn't complain about it. So you should be seeing a full screen of CNCF projects in a tool. All right. So in here, when you get access to the tool, you can browse all the CNCF project, but in general, it's like if you're following the external link that is linked from the Kubeflow repo of model registry, you will land up here. We are using FOSSA for license scanning. What it does is that it provides you a full report of the dependencies. This is done both on a PR level and on the main branch. So it means that if you have a contributor that is submitting a PR, you will be able to see if any of the transitive dependency may have some license that would raise any sort of like a problem or something. This is interesting because it can give you an overview as well as I would say a project maintainer about seeing everything that you have in the transitive dependency. And as well, I think that is the part that is most interested with is that if you have any issue. So for instance, what I've also noticed is that some others project in CNCF are using Docker as a library as a dependency. in the case transitive for us for testing. This is actually just a wrong, kind of like a false positive report from the tool, because one of the transitive project of Docker here is GPL, but also Apache license. So you can just flag that one so that is available. And the final thing that you can get is that you have a badge that what you can do is that you can add it to your project so that contributors can see this badge and walk back to the report that is shown. So it's a way that a tool made available by CNCF through CNCF that can help and support on this endeavor. I know the Kubeflow pipeline mentioned during the CNCF onboarding that they're using another tool. I'm not familiar with that one. I tried on guidance about this tool. I find it very effective, and I just thought about in the LinkedIn notes, you find the proposal and how we made that one available. So that if other working groups wants to adopt the same, I'm happy to support and follow the same steps. Hope this is helpful not only for model registry, but also for other projects.
All righty. Any questions on that? Any experience by anybody else that has run into any of this or has any comments? All right, looks like you're leading the way, Matteo.
And again, let's say if people see the recording and they have any questions, I'm very happy to, even just chat on it or have a quick huddle. Because the tool it has its quirks, but then when it sort of like you move past them, it's actually pretty helpful and it's just fully automated. So for us, it was very beneficial. I see some reason from Ricardo, maybe.
Yeah, so Matteo, we've been discussing about this software, which is a great tool, give a great addition for us, and especially in the pipelines area as well. I'd like to propose that for the pipelines working group to adopt it, because what we do is pretty much through scripts and CSV files. But anyways, one quick question. Is it possible to have some sort of flag or I forgot the name for it, but something that we could put in the initial page for the GitHub repository to watch for any compliance issues with the license scanning? I think it's badge, the name.
Yeah, there is the badge. So that was shown. So for instance, if you go now to the Kubeflow model registry repo, across the badges, you will find one for the fossil license scanning. So I didn't figure out a way to have an email sent to me or something like that. But honestly speaking, so since me as others sort of like access the repo landing page every day, sort of like the moment that you see some red flags on that badge or any other of the badges, this could be enough to have some eyes on it. This is the way at least that we are going with that at the moment.
Alrighty. If you already adopted the Bolsa badge on your repo, let me know where I can find it. I'm very curious to see how it looks like.
Yeah, I'm just going to send a link in the chat.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and just one thing before we leave the model registry, there is a demo of the model registry UI on this YouTube link here. Is that correct? So if
that is the recording of the bi-weekly meeting, and the UI
Yeah.
team have done some demos about it. So I invite everybody to check it out at that link recording.
All right.
And
yeah, that I think is important. Again, end users, this has been one of the major features people have asked for years in Kubeflow. And, the team has responded to this now, and getting feedback or input on the direction and how things look would be great. So there you go. All right. And
you,
the
Josh.
model registry meeting is, the next model registry meeting is when?
Next Monday, and I was about to say beyond this Kubeflow community meeting, I invite again everybody to join our Kubeflow bi-weekly model registry call that happens every other Monday just after the release meeting. It's linked in the Kubeflow website. And we are responsive on CNCF Slack and on the repo. So whenever if you have any questions, if you're seeing this recording, if you have any questions, please don't be shy to reach out because we are actually engaging in conversation in any channel that we can.
That's great. That's great. And thank you for keeping the team going and all the professionalism that you guys have brought to that working group or that effort. It's just been tremendous, right? That we've had a vision, we've sustained through multiple releases, and I just see it getting better and better throughout 2025 as we go down that path. So this is great.
On behalf of the extended model registry working group and team, thank you so much, Josh. Everybody appreciate it as well.
All right. We had a discussion on add-ons in the KSC, and Andre wasn't there, but we have a lot of other opinions that were there. I think James, you were on that call, and Janu, and I don't see you on, but there was kind of a consensus around that we do need to have add-ons. We need a way to take care of the add-ons. We need a way to kind of progress them towards becoming maybe a core or a sub project. And so there were some efforts to say, can we look at one of the projects? And I believe it was this one, if this is the right URL or the right issue, that we started to have more comments on, and we were asking the community to start to comment on this particular issue that I have opened here. Let's just look down below and see what we've got here, if we've got more people coming in. So Terry had put in here a little bit more about scoping and the governance. So I don't know, is Terry here? No. And John is probably not here either. I guess Francisco, the point that I would make here is we actually got, folks reviewing this, providing comments. We'd like the community to actually also provide, so it's not just the steering committee, provide comments and see if we can get this kind of into a place where we can move this forward.
Yeah, let me pull it up and share the link to folks in the chat, just in case they want to tax it. If anybody has any thoughts on it, please feel free to share, your thoughts on the PR. I would love to make one plug really quickly, Josh, if
Yeah,
I have.
please.
Yeah, so I think there's one component where, and I'm having a great discussion with Andre on it, and thanks a ton to Andre for spending the time to review and giving feedback. And my view about add-ons is simple in the sense that, from working in industry at a bunch of different companies, too many, to be honest, and in a bunch of different ML platforms, is what I've found about Kubeflow is that when an ML platform team that isn't immediately familiar with Kubeflow starts to scope or evaluate Kubeflow, the first thing that they think is, hey, it's going to have all the components that I need to successfully maintain an ML platform based on open source tools. And that's partially true, though not completely true. I think it has a lot of the big components. And really what I think the importance of having add-ons and a process for including them, even in the manifest, is so that Kubeflow can offer a full platform analogous to what the other vendor-based software solutions offer. And so I think having a good process where we focus on the end users, both ML ops engineers and ML engineers, where they can look at Kubeflow as a comprehensive platform where they can choose among the best open source products to really like build and ship production machine learning is really what I think is the intent behind me drafting this. And so getting feedback from everybody would be really helpful. As I do think that like it's a heavily evolving space, and so certainly things might change, but I do think focusing on the user experience and getting more adoption is really important to me personally. So that's why I'm spending so much time on doing this. Thank you.
I mean, I can add my comments. I think it makes sense to me. Thank you again, Francisco, for driving this. I would love for us to maybe, stepping a little bit back and, maybe, understand why we introduced this concept of add-on. Because I've been trying to like researching some docs from the last like 2 to 3 years, and the only one doc that I found that the add-on was actually the section on the website where we put all the components, which was out of the Kubeflow GitHub org. And we've never have a serious discussion within the community what working group or like what folks should maintain those components, right? The only proposal that I found is from manifest working group. It's about the contrib folder in the manifest repo, right? And basically this folder was created to move some components which outside of the Kubeflow GitHub org, right? And back to your point again, like, yes, probably the intention for us is to build ML platform and have a set of tools for production, machine learning on Kubernetes. The problem with this approach again, like, I'm not sure how we can deal with, with the landscape of different AI tools, because like especially right now, every company or every organization, they're trying to do something on their own, right? And you can see exactly the same with KubeCon, right? What's happening, like every team trying to basically replicate what others have been doing for a very, very long time, right? So the question is for us as a community, how we can process with these items, right? For example, what if tomorrow some folks from Project X will come to us and say, hey, I want to be part of the add-on. What should we tell them, right? Yes or no? And probably it will be really hard for us to answer if we give the projects this option, right? To be part of the add-on, right? Because the users will just get lost, right? The problem with the users will easily get lost right now because the scope is very big and they can quickly, not choose the wrong tool, but basically just get lost, right? And don't really solve their specific use cases, right? So this is what I'm trying to, to discuss here on your proposal.
That makes sense. And I think like, I think like one thing that I look at is that, and I've been doing it for like, I've been in this space for 12 years. I think my first model that I launched was shipped in COBOL. So I was lucky enough to see this whole space evolve and like see some technologies emerge and then some die. And, I think inevitably there will be some things that evolve. I think Elira is one example, right? Like, there's not getting adoption. Feast might have been one that people thought wasn't going to die, and then a suite of people, jumped on and started contributing to make sure that it was very clear it was going to sustain. And then there will be other projects that way too, right? And I think, again, the way I look at it is like, so long as we have the large components filled out, maybe some of the components switch over time. But so long as we have the components and the best in class components, and aim really for the best ones and have the flexibility of saying, hey, sometimes this thing is just not as good. In the same way that like, look, we could, I'm not like punching anybody, but maybe Theano. Theano's a good example. Theano was the deep learning framework that like kind of started this whole thing, right? And there was Cafe 2. And both of those things mostly died, right? because people went on to TensorFlow, Keras, and Torch. And, you know, I think we wouldn't want Kubeflow to just say, well, we're going to stand with Theano. That probably wouldn't make sense, right? Like in this analog. And so we would probably want to make sure that the community evolved to adopt the things that are best for the users. And so I think by virtue of holding that principle, focusing on the community, that means that inevitably sometimes we'll have to figure out when to deprecate some things. And so long as we have a process by which we can feel comfortable saying like, hey, look, if there's no contributions in 6 months, then maybe this project isn't really alive anymore. And we're just explicit about like, hey, if this project's not active, we're going to kill it. That's kind of my transparent view on it. I think I commented something like similar to that, though I didn't mention the deprecation part. But I do think that if we have an addition process, we should have a deprecation process to complement that. So I can update to include that.
I know we're over time. Ricardo, you have your hands up, so go ahead with it.
Yeah, just a quick thing. I just want to understand better what is specifically your concern about making users confused with those concepts. I see the link you sent had only 2 changes historically, one 2 years ago and another one with 8 months ago, which is just adding some more requirements for bringing new components. I would say if it's a problem, if it's making users confused with those topics, what if we just introduce a newer concept to cover all we expect to see with regarding having add-ons in the Kubeflow community? I'd like to understand if I got your concern with regarding confusing users with those terms, and if maybe changing the name would be feasible to avoid that sort of confusion.
Yeah, I mean, because there are several, concerns that, I might have, right? Because, for example, like who is going to maintain those things, right? Who is going to, how we can make sure those add-ons will kind of follow the Kubeflow best practices, right? From the different perspective, right? Because right now, the only thing that we have is the working groups. And the working groups are maintaining the components under Kubeflow organization, right? Only exception is the K-serve because it was working group serving, and then K-serve, KF serving was, migrating outside of the Kubeflow GitHub org. And right now we just don't know what to do with working group serving. But all other components just been maintained by the working group leads, right? I mean, again, like, it's back to my point about conformance, right? Because we've been discussing that we should have a conformance program for Kubeflow, how we can deal with conformance if we introduce this concept of add-ons, which we don't know how to fit in this conformance program, right? So there are several questions that, I might have for the, add-ons proposal. And I would like to understand that from the user perspective, are we just giving them a guidelines how to use those tools? Are we giving them, a reference to the installation? And all of those things, like, it's not clear to me, right? What is the motivation for us to basically tell users going to this project instead of using, Kubeflow tools, right? But if Kubeflow doesn't have those tools, like, for example, fees, right? Why do not include them under Kubeflow, right? So this is not just not clear to me, right? What is the distinct, the differences?
Gotcha. Well, 2 things. I see that historically, the working group that's been dealing with the /contrary path is the manifest working group. So maybe we should wait for Julius to see if that makes sense for having manifest to have some sort of stewardshiping on this /contrary path, including like, I don't know, having some processes to find who are the components that doesn't have any activity and deprecate them. But anyways, I believe Julius could have more feedback in here. As for the other, my understanding is that conformance testing should rely only on the core components, and add-ons could be like an addition to the distributions to support everything that the Kubeflow ecosystem supports as well.
Yeah, so I would suggest to review some of the docs, you know, the working group manifest charter, some of the proposals was proposed by Kimonos and Julius, was reviewing them, because it might have some useful information to explain what working group manifest should be, like dedicated to. And because it's clearly said right now, they should not, decide which applications to be included under Kubeflow, right? We should probably, we should discuss more, right? The problem is we just don't have a clear process. What is add-on, right? It was introduced 3 years ago when we modified the website, and right now just no one actually know what is add-on, right? And this is a little bit confusing me, and this is just what I want to say.
Yeah, no, it's totally it's totally okay. And one of the things that I believe we could also think of maybe rewarding this add-on concept and avoid that source of confusion for users and maybe for you as well. Anyways, yeah, I'm willing to help more with that. So Francisco, if you have some time later today, I'd like to understand the last updates on that. Maybe I can help with some more feedback. I see Ramesh has his hands raised.
Yeah, I think my comments was a lot more in similar to what you were saying, Ricardo. Um, I am all in favor of expanding the confirmation rules, expanding how we can do the bringing in the add-on components, especially with since we are thinking about, hey, how can we limit the Kubeflow community to the core components, and but then we are limiting ourselves to the functionality that is kind of a fixed, and if we don't have a additional avenue where we are bringing in more technologies that are popping up. This is a fast moving space, right? We should take some risk in terms of there should be a conformance test. I'm not saying that everything we should allow any component to come in, but if there is a conformance test, if they are measuring up to that bar, and there is a community interest in there, we should be able to. They should be able to. We should be able to provide an avenue. A user should be, taking that technology and testing out if that works for them. If that does become a technology that we want to more interested in becoming a core component, there could be a graduation process we could talk about later on, right? But I do think that we do need to encourage this the add-on ones, but with the conformance process. So whatever that process is, let's figure out. I see that who is going to do this. Obviously, if it is manifest or somebody between manifest and steering committee, if we need to come up with a totally some other working group for this, let's figure that one out, right? That's what I would say. Thank you.
Yeah, look, I think that just like anything in a open source community, we need to have some form of milestone that we're aiming for, some type of timeline that we're trying to get this resolved by, so they don't stay open there, whether it's trusty or feast or whatever comes down the road. We need to have some clear guidelines, and somehow we've got to get this moving forward. I think that this proposal that that Francisco's put up and the comments that we're getting in is a good part of the community. My request is that it would be good to have others besides the KFC responding into this, so we know that we're kind of watching and listening. Not everybody's going to be happy, right? We're going to have to make some decisions, and we need to put a timeline on this and just move forward so people know what the rules are. And if we have to adjust them later, we will. So we're way over time. Hopefully this is helpful. We'll have more conversation on this. Anything else before we close today? Any burning issue? All right. Really would like to see some items for the next meeting. Would like to get into, more things like the guardrails or other types of things that may be less procedural and more into talking about, what people are actually doing. But we've got to do our process stuff as well. And, we just need to think about how we balance these meetings with great topics. All right, everyone. I think that's it for today. Anything before we go? Going once? Twice? All right. Have a good one. Bye now.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, everyone.